So first time user will send the login information, all three dependencies in place, and we have got the token here.
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to Think Constructive. I am Isha. In this session, I will be discussing all about JWT. So I will be talking about what is JWT, why is JWT important, where is it used, and that will be followed by the detailed demonstration in which I will be telling you, or rather I will be showing you how to create a proper JWT token in your Java Spring Boot project and how to validate resources on the basis of that. Alright, so stay tuned, watch the session till the end so that you are not going to miss upon any of the core concepts. And remember, this session is going to be extremely useful for all the Java developers, Java lead and Java architect. So let us quickly start with the session now.
JWT in short, it is widely called as JWT, and its full form is JSON Web Tokens. It is the industry standard, that is RFC 7519. It is widely used in the industry for authorization and authentication of web application. In addition to that, there are many other places like OAuth 2.0, SAML, single sign-on. All those places JWT can be used. Alright, so let us understand what is JWT. So let's say any user is trying to log in to some web application. Okay, let's say he is trying to access a particular book from the bookstore, and for doing that, he is supposed to enter his login credentials. One way, he will enter his username and password and he'll be able to access the book details. Right? So every time whenever he wishes to do that, he has to enter his username and password. But every time giving the username and password is not very efficient and not a very secure way, because every time the information is being transmitted over the internet and this information can be easily hacked and misused. In order to protect such information, instead of every time sending username and password, what if the user has or the client has some access token which can be transmitted for getting the authentication and authorization done for the user? Alright, so such kind of tokens are access tokens, and these can be done with the help of JWT. Alright, so what happens? Sender will send the information over the internet. So first time user will send the login information. He'll be issued an access token back, and for every subsequent request for the user, instead of user giving username and password, this access token will be sent over the internet, which will be received by the authorization server, and the authorization server will authenticate the user request and will give access to the requested resource. So here this access token will be the JWT token. Alright. So now let us understand the structure of JWT token. Here is the structure of JWT token. So this structure is actually the combination of header, payload and signature. These three things together will form a JWT token. I will first take you to the JWT website and will explain this header, payload and signature there. Alright. So let me just give jwt.io. This is the website for JWT. And you can go down and see that JWT is presented by auth 0. So here in the JWT you can see this is one complete JWT token, and you can see here is the header part, it's the color coded one, then dot, then here is the payload, and then after dot here is a signature. So here in this window you can see the decoded header, which is this one. Okay, so this is a combination of two things, algo and type. Fine. So algo HS256 is being used here, and then the payload is a combination of subject, name, admin and IAT, that is the date essentially. And then there is a signature. Okay. So the next part in this presentation is this format. So this is authorization : space bearer then token. So this is the format in which the client is supposed to send the JWT token. So this part will have JWT token, and this should be prefixed with authorization : space bearer. This is about what is JWT and what all formats and patterns it has. Now let us quickly start with the demonstration, and there I will show you how you can create JWT token, and further how will you validate the request using that particular token. So token will be created basis on the given username and password, and that token will be returned back to the user. And in the subsequent request, when user will send that particular token, how the user will be authenticated, validated, and the resource will be provided to the user. So all these things we will be seeing in the subsequent demonstration. So stay tuned, watch the session till the end so that you are not missing upon on any of the core concepts. Let us quickly start with the demonstration. So in this demonstration, we will be further evolving our bookstore application, which we have been building in this series of sessions. Alright, so if you have not yet attended those sessions, session details are getting displayed on the screen right now. Feel free to attend those sessions. And if you would like to quickly start with the JWT implementation directly, so what I will do, I will just give you a quick summary of this project. That will be followed by the detailed demonstration of JWT. The editor what I am using here is IntelliJ IDEA editor, and just don't get confused with this Outlook, because I just updated the IntelliJ IDEA. So you are getting a little different look and feel here. Alright, so here is a project structure what we are building. So this is my bookstore project. Inside that, you can see inside src main Java, there is a complete project structure. So what we have been doing, we have exposed two controllers. One is book controller. So here all the CRUD operations for the book store have been written. Fine. And their corresponding DTO, entity, and DTO to entity, entity to DTO book mapper is written. Corresponding book repository layer and book service implementation layers are already written. So complete CRUD operations of bookstore have been exposed. Fine. And the database what we are using here is MongoDB database. Alright. So in addition to that, you must be noticing here we have got UserInfo controller. So that is for the user information, means what we are doing, I'll just open the UserInfo controller. So you can notice we have a register endpoint exposed. So with the help of this, the user registration is happening for this application. User information, that is username, user password, user role, all these details are getting stored in the database, and with the help of those user details, request is getting authenticated and authorized. Alright, so here in the book controller, you can notice in addition to this add get mapping, we have pre-authorized, has role kind of annotations also. This is for authorization. And the UserInfo controller here, followed by UserInfo DTO, UserInfo entity, UserInfo mapper, UserInfo repository, and UserInfo service and service implementation layer. All these things are done in order to store username and password in the database and further do the authorization and authentication with the help of that. So for that we have implemented user details service also. Alright, and we have done some implementations in config also. So we have created security config, and here you can see we have annotated this class as enable web security configuration and enable method security. Herein we have written security filter chain and authentication provider. Alright, so this much we have covered. I will also quickly show you pom.xml. So here in the pom.xml, you can notice we have taken a Spring Boot starter parent, okay, and we have taken Spring Boot starter data Mongo, Spring Boot starter web, okay, Spring Boot Dev Tools, Spring Boot Docker Compose, because for MongoDB we are directly using its Docker image, Spring Boot Starter Security. Fine. And their corresponding test dependencies we have included. We have also included Lombok dependency. Alright, so these many dependencies we have taken in pom.xml. Okay, so let me just close all these tabs. So let's start implementing JWT in this project. So first of all, what we'll be doing, we will be creating the JWT token, and then as a next step, we will be writing the code to validate that token. Alright, so in order to create the JWT token, first of all, we should be including JWT libraries. Alright, so let me show you how can you get the JWT libraries and then how can you include those libraries in your project. Okay, so let me open the browser window for that. So here is the browser window, and first library we will be including is JWT API. Okay. So first thing we are getting Maven repository. So this is the place from where we will take JWT API library. Alright. So the latest version for JWT API what we are getting is 12.6, and you can see its number of usage date and all those stuffs here. Okay. So we will quickly take this library. Okay. How do we do that? We will just copy this dependency. Okay. And we'll include that in pom.xml. So here in the IntelliJ IDE editor, I'll just open pom.xml. Okay. And just below this Lombok dependency, I'll start including JWT dependencies. Here is JWT API. Similarly, I'll just search for JWT Impl. Okay. And JWT Impl is again the latest version is 12.6. I'll just click on this. I'll copy dependency from here and will include here in the pom.xml. Okay. And one more dependency we would be needing for the parsing stuffs and all. That will be JWT Jackson. Okay. So I will just say JWT Jackson dependency. Okay. And we'll take from Maven repository. We'll click here. We'll copy the dependency. Okay. And we'll paste dependency here. Alright. So we have got all three dependencies in place. JWT API, JWT Impl and JWT Jackson. Alright. So these three dependencies we need in order to do the JWT development in this project. Okay. So I'll just save it quickly and we'll do a Maven refresh. Fine. Let me close pom.xml. And now the next step is, first of all, we will write the structure in UserController. Okay. UserInfo controller, what we have written. This one. So there, as of now, we have created a user registration code flow. Right? Create UserInfo with the username, password, roles, all the necessary details we can give and create the user information, that is finally user will be stored in the database. Now the next step is, so let us create the login flow. Okay. So let me just first write the code structure. So public response entity. Okay. And let us have the return type as a string. Alright. Then we will say getUserInfo and we will say request body, and what should be the request body? That should be user info DTO. Okay. Alright. And inside this method, for now, I will just say return success. Okay, we will further evolve this. Okay, it should be response entity, my bad. So I will just say new response entity. Okay, and then inside this I will say success HTTP status. Okay, fine. So everything is fine. And now I need to expose the API for that. So I will just say post mapping. Alright, because login request we are going to create. So it should be /login. Okay. So what we have done, we have exposed a /login REST endpoint as a post request, and inside this the method what we have written is for now getUserInfo, which is returning always success. Okay, fine. And now inside our UserInfo service and service simple, let us create the structure for this, and then as a next step we will be writing the create JWT flow for this. Okay. So let us open UserInfo service. Inside this UserInfo service, let me just write the method for this. Okay. So it will be public string getUserInfo. Alright. And then what should be the parameters for that? UserInfo DTO, UserInfo DTO. Okay. So we have done the declaration here, and let us implement this. Where UserInfo service impl. So now it is showing me the error because its interface has got one more method which we are supposed to implement. So I will just say implement method. Okay, fine. So say it is by default returning nothing. So I will just say success, because I'll repeat, we are just creating the code structure for this right now. So from here, what do we want? We would want that whatever user name and password is coming in the request, right? For that we have created the structure. What we have done here, we have taken the login request. Okay. So in that UserInfo, basically the user name and password is coming. And with the help of that, we are supposed to check the username and password in the database. And then if everything is fine, that means if the request is genuine, we are supposed to create the JWT token for that, where the request authentication and then the token creation process will go technically here in the service impl. Okay. So in order to do that, we should have the authentication manager. Okay. So let us create authentication manager bean somewhere. So what should be the best place? Let us have our security config class, because that is the place wherein we are creating all security configuration related stuff. Okay. So we will be creating authentication manager bean here. So here we will be creating authentication manager bean. So let us first of all annotate it as bean. Okay. And then down below we will be writing the respective method. Okay. So I will just say public authentication manager. Alright. And then we will be writing authentication manager method. And here in this, we are supposed to provide authentication configuration. Okay. Okay. And then we should be returning authentication configuration dot get authentication manager. Alright. Why am I getting the error? Oh, okay. Let us add the exception, because that is the need of this method signature. Alright. And anyways, if it is unable to get the authentication manager, it is supposed to throw some exception. So we should comply with the method signature. Okay. So what we have done, we have created authentication manager bean. What it is doing, it is providing the authentication manager, because without the authentication manager, we will not be able to verify the username and password, and further creation of token will not be possible. Alright. So now let us go back to UserInfo service simple, and first of all auto wire this authentication manager. Okay. Then only we will be able to use it here. Okay. So I will just say auto wire authentication manager. Okay. And now after auto wiring this authentication manager, it is available for us to use here in the getUserInfo. So now here in the getUserInfo, we will call the authenticate method of authentication manager, and then with the help of that, we will be able to authenticate the username and password. How do we do that? Let us just say authentication manager. dot authenticate. Okay, and what it should be authenticating? The username and password. Okay, so let us start writing that. I will just say new username password authentication. Okay, so the first class you are saying username password authentication token. Okay, and inside this token we are supposed to pass username and password. Alright, how do we pass that? We'll get it from UserInfo DTO dot username, okay, and password from there. Okay, and we'll close this. So from authentication manager, with the help of authenticate method, we are trying to authenticate this username and password which we have got from the request. Okay. Now what does this authenticate method returns? Let us go and check here. It is returning the object of authentication. Okay. So we should be returning this result in authenticate object. Okay. So let me just give a space and then I will write authenticate. Why is it not getting in suggestion? Let me just verify. Oh, it is authentication. Let me just copy and put it here. Okay. And then I will say authentication is equal to. Fine. So what is happening? Whatever is the result of authentication, we are receiving it here in the authentication object. So in the authentication object, once we have got the result, we will be able to say whether the provided username and password is authenticated or not. How do we check that? I'll just put a small if else check here. So I will just say authentication dot is authenticated. So if it is true, I should return success. Fine. Else, in all other cases, I will return a failure. Okay. Fine. So I hope this much is clear. What we have done, we have authenticated username and password, and whatever is the result of authentication, basis on that, I am saying return success or return failure. Fine. Simple. But we cannot stop here. Our next step is to check if the user is authenticated, create the JWT token and return. So that is the real purpose of this, right? So where should we generate the token? Where I am returning success. Because what is happening, if the user is authenticated, then only I can create token and provide the token for that. If user is not authenticated, that means user does not exist or wrong password is provided, then I am not supposed to provide any token. Otherwise, it will be misused, right? Maybe some hacker or some other attacker or some other XYZ person is trying to get the token so that he can get all the benefits from our system without even registering in that. So I cannot provide any token to that, right? So where my token generation logic should go? At this place. Alright. So how do we write that logic? In order to write that logic, I am supposed to now make use of JWT libraries, write the create token logic and call that logic here. Okay. So now, where do we write that generate token logic? I can either create some utility common class here and inside that I will write the logic. Okay. Worst case, you can write the logic here in service simple, which is not the right place. I mean, in the code flow, it will work, but your code will not be structured. In order to get a structured code, what do? I have decided to create a JWT service. Okay. And inside that, I will write that logic and then we will call that logic here. Okay. So where do we create JWT service? So I'll come to this service package and we'll start creating JWT interface here. Sorry, JWT service interface here. So I'll choose interface and we'll say JWT service. Okay. I'll add it to Git because my code is getting synced up with Git. And whatever code I'm showing you here, everything I keep on pushing to my Git repo. So if you get stuck somewhere, go ahead, check it out. Link is tagged in the description box below. You can always find it out from the description or my comment also. So now what will I do? I will create a generate token method signature here. How do I do that? I will just say public a string because I am expecting that token should be a string, and generate token. Okay. And for generating token, it would need something, right? So it will be string user name, let's say. Fine. So let's say with the help of username, I am generating the token. So this is the method signature I have created. And now I am supposed to create its implementation. So where do I do that? I will just say service impl new Java class. Alright. And I will just say JWT service impl. Okay. And we'll say add. Okay. What should I do? I will just say it will implement JWT service interface, which we have just now created. And I will say implement methods. Alright. So here in the generate token, I have got by default return a string. But this method is much more than that. The entire token generation logic will go here. Okay. So I will first create the claims object here. That is the standard term you will find being used here. You can keep any name, but to make it more understandable, I am just creating or keeping the name as claims. Okay. So string object I will be taking and I will just say claims. This is actually the standard code I am writing here and explaining, but you can use this code as is. Okay. I'll just say import class. Okay. And I'll just take a map of it. Okay. So I will just say new hash map. Alright. Now with the help of this claims hash map, we will be doing certain stuffs. So my generate token method is supposed to return the string. So I will just say return, and everything what I am trying to generate will go here. Okay. So we will be directly writing the code here. Okay. Let me just remove this. And from our JWT library, I will call JWT's builder. Okay. And from this JWT builder, what we'll do? We'll just say add claims. Okay. Then we will use add subject. And what is the subject here? Username. Okay. Then we will include when is it issued. Issued at. So what we'll do? We will give date time. Okay. So issuance date. And how do we do that? I will just say system dot current time millis. Okay. And then I will say expiration, because every token should come with some expiration date. Okay. So I will just say new date. Okay. And here I will say same system dot current millis. So current time. And in this, let me just add some value 60 into, let's say 60 into 30. Okay. So this is the expiration time. Okay. And let me just import this state. Otherwise it will continue giving me the error. Okay. All right. And then, and what else do I want? I would want this token to be signed with some key. So I will just say sign with some key. I don't have a key. I will show you how to get it. Okay. And then I will just say compact. Fine. And sign with, let me just write get key, and I will show you. I will write a get key method for you right now. Okay. I'll not import it. I'll write a new one here. What will happen? With the help of this code, a token will be generated and that will be returned here. Fine. And token will be of a string type. Right. So now coming back to get key. So let us write a new method here. Okay. And let us make it private, because this is the place only where we will be using and where it should have access. Okay, so I will just write secret key, okay, get key, and let us import secret key. Okay, so let us write a key creation method. Let's have the byte array, okay, and some key value, and then we will call decoders dot, what decoding mechanism I am using? I'll use base 64 and then decode. Okay, and herein I am supposed to pass secret key, or you can give any name. So let us create this variable as a class level variable, because further that will be the same class level variable will be used in our JWT validation also, token validation. Okay, so I will just say private string secret key, and let us initialize it with nothing. Okay, some blank value. Okay, so here is a secret key we have declared, and then we will return. So I will just say keys dot, we will be using hmax signature, hmax SHA key for. Okay, so this is the method for that, and here I will pass this key value which we have created. Okay, with the help of this secret key we are creating all this, but we have initialized it with blank. So we should do a proper initialization for this secret key, and for that we will be creating a constructor of JWT service impl, and therein the initialization of secret key will go. Okay, so let's see how do we do that. I will just say public JWT service impl. Okay, and inside this constructor, what will we write? We will actually write the key generator here. Okay, so key generator is also provided by JWT libraries. Okay, key generator, and herein we will write key generator dot get instance. Okay, and inside this get instance I should be writing which algorithm we are using. So what we have just now used below, hmax one, so I will just write hmax SHA-256 here, and now you understand why did I use the same method here with keys dot. Okay, because we are using the algorithm as hmax SHA-256. Alright, now I will just take another instance of secret key. Okay, secret key 1 let us take, and we'll call key generator dot generate key. With the help of this the key will be generated, and then we will assign that in the class level variable which is secret key. Okay, so we will call our base 64 dot get encoder, okay, dot encode to string, and here we will say secret key 1 dot get. And why am I getting so many errors? Oh, here equal is missing, and here it is saying add exception to method signature. Okay, fine. So this is the code for getting the secret key. With the help of secret key we are creating a get key method, and finally we are passing get key method here. Okay, so now with the help of this the token is getting generated and getting returned here. Okay, so we have got generate token code in place. Now let us go back to UserInfo service impl and call that generate token here. For doing that, let us auto wire JWT service. Okay, fine. And now let us remove this success directly like that, and we'll call JWT service dot generate token, and we will pass the username here. Okay, so I'll just say userinfo.dto dot username. Alright, and we'll put a semicolon here. Fine. So what happens? Username will be passed to generate token and it will generate the token for the respective user and will return the generated token. Fine. So now let us read the complete code. What we have done here, we have with the help of authentication manager's authenticate method, we have authenticated username and password for the one which is provided in the request. And if it is authenticated, that means in the authentication object, if it is authenticated, then we will create the generate token. We will generate the token, JWT token, and will return. If it is not authenticated, a failure result will be returned. Alright. So this is the code flow. Now let us go back to our user info service and check. Do we need to do any change? No. Now let us go back to user info controller and check. Do we need to do any change here? Yes, because we are currently just returning the success here. So we should be writing a code to really return the generated token or the failure, whatever we are getting. Okay. So here, instead of success, what am I supposed to do? I am supposed to call user info service dot getUserInfo. And inside this, I will be passing userinfo DTO. Fine. So once I will pass this method, I will reach here, do its implementation, and finally we will reach here. Fine. And we will get whatever it is. Whether I will get the token or I will get a failure message. Fine. So this is the code flow for creation of the JWT token. Now let us go ahead and test this. Okay. So let us bring up the application. Once the application is up and running, we will test it using Postman. Okay. So what am I getting here? User info service simple required a bean of type service. Oh, I think I might have missed the annotation. So let me just go to JWT service simple. Yeah. So let us put service annotation here. So we have put service annotation here and let us now try bringing up the application and see. So looks like, yeah, good. Application is up and running. Global authentication manager configured with authentication provider. All the good logs are coming here. Alright. So now let us go to Postman window and test. So before that, I will open MongoDB Compass and we'll see some user from there first. Okay. So let me just connect the application. If you don't know how to connect, refer the MongoDB Compass video. Okay. So you'll get all the links, the complete playlist I have created, and the playlist link is mentioned in the description box below. So please make use of that. Okay. So I'll just go to user info. And here in user info, you can notice we have test user 1, okay, test user 2, test user 3. So let us use test user 1, okay, or let us try to create a new user. So you'll get a feel of creating the user registration and then creating the JWT token, okay. So you'll get both the test. So bookstore test, I'll go to post request. What is there? Okay, so my previous request is here. So let us create a new one with the role as user. So I will just say test user 4 with pass 4 as a password. And you can notice what is the post request. Localhost 8080 user info register. Fine. And in the body I have mentioned username, password and roles. Let me try sending it. Test user 4 is created. Fine. And let us create one more user as test user 5, pass 5 and role as admin. Okay. Role admin. Fine. So let me just try sending this also. test user 5 is created. Okay. Now let us go ahead and verify these both the users in the MongoDB Compass. So here in the MongoDB Compass, I will just refresh. You can now see we have got 5 rows and we have got test user 4 and test user 5. Cool. Yeah. So now coming back to Postman, I will create one more post request wherein instead of this register, I will be giving login. Fine. So I'll just add one more request here. Add request. Okay. I will choose the method as post. We'll write the URL here and instead of register, this time I will write login. Fine. In the body, I will choose raw and let me just copy something from here that will minimize my work. Okay, so let me just copy and paste here. And for my request, I don't need roles. If I will give, it will be bypassed. So I'm just not giving, not overloading the things. So I will give precisely what is needed, that is username and password. All right. And let me just one more time open the editor. So here, UserInfo controller, you can notice UserInfo /UserInfo is the context path and /login. And here, the moment the login request will come, this will be invoked and a token should be generated and should be returned back. All right. So let us see whether it is working that way or not. So now after giving this URL and username and password, I will just say send. So I have got unauthorized. What is it saying? The request is unauthenticated. Pass the correct auth credentials. But we have just now created this username and password. So this should be fine. There can be some other issue. Let us open the editor and try to debug it. We have just now created username and password. So this information will be correct, right? We anyways copied and pasted it. And /login /UserInfo, the same context path we had given. So what can be the problem? When the request will hit this, it's not allowing this URL to actually provide me the information. So let us go to security config and check if we missed something here. Everything looks good. We just created authentication manager. And in our security filter chain, so what we have given, permit all for the welcome message and permit all for register. And we have to enter our login URL also here. Otherwise that URL will not be permitted. It will look for some username and password further. Which should not happen, right? So let us enter our UserInfo /login also here. Okay. So you've got the issue, right? So I have entered UserInfo login. I will just save and restart my server and let us now check whether it works or not. So let me just bring up this window like this. So Tomcat started on port 8080. So in the Postman window, let us again try to send this. Cool. 200 okay. And we have got the token here. Okay. Yeah, let me just copy and paste this token on JWT.io and verify it. Here is the browser window. I will just say JWT.io. Okay. And let us paste the token here, what we just now generated. Paste. Yeah. And it is telling me Algo HS256. This is what we have given. You can notice subject test user 5, creation time and expiration time. So creation time you are seeing 26th May and date plus GMT, right? And expiration time is 26th May, time is 10:3:39 GMT plus 5:30, and here time is 10,151. Fine. So we had given 16 to 16 to 30. So because of that, this much of expiration time we have got for this token. Depending upon your requirement, you can provide the expiration time. If you want long-lived token, you can give bigger expiration time there. If you want short-lived token, you can give like this. All right. And here the signature verification. Okay. So it is asking enter the secret used to sign the JWT, right? So we need to write a secret key here and then it will validate the token. Fine. So whatever secret key, whomsoever will have the secret key, they will be able to verify this signature. And let us generate the token for test user 4 also and see how does it work. Test user 4, let's give some wrong password and see what happens. Send. It is saying unauthorized, right? And if we will give the correct password for this, it will give me the token. I can again copy and paste this token here in this window. Okay. And this time you can notice I am getting test user 4, time 10,528 and then 10,716, right? And the algorithm. And then again signature, for signature verification, one should have a secret key. So that is a part of our next session.
What we have covered in this session, we understood what is JWT, why is JWT important, and where JWT is really used. And then we created the JWT token in our Java Spring Boot project and we tested that using Postman. In the next session, I will be covering how to validate JWT token for your REST resources. So that we'll be doing in our bookstore project and we will be validating all the bookstore resources with the help of validate JWT token. Alright, so if you haven't yet subscribed the channel, subscribe now, hit the like button and share the channel details with your friends, family and colleagues because that is how we will grow more stronger together. See you in the next session. Bye for now.